Good morning, everyone. Let's get started. So admin was not available yesterday, hence we had to extend the class for today. And from tomorrow, the link is going to be changed. So you can consider that this is the last demo class. I hope you are able to see my screen and am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So let's get started. Let's see what we have learned in the previous class. We started looking at what is a drawback of a thread, correct? Can someone tell me what is a drawback of a thread?
We cannot reuse the thread again.
Yeah. What happens if you try to reuse a thread? That means reusing a thread means on the thread object once the start method is invoked. And what will happen if you call the start method again?
Illegal exception. Illegal thread exception.
Illegal thread state exception will be thrown, right? How does Java know that once the thread is started and you are calling the second method on more than once? How it identifies internally?
Based on the number of thread group thread.
Yeah,
If it is
internally it
zero,
holds thread status. There is a variable called thread status. Initially it will be 0 for it's an instance variable. For every thread object, whenever the object is created, it will hold the value as 0. And whenever the independent path of execution is started, it will change to some non-zero value. So now on the same thread object, if you call the start method second time onwards, since it is an instance variable, the value is non-zero. Hence, it throw the illegal thread state exception. That means using thread status variable, Java will identify that whether the thread is started or not. Once it is started, the variable will hold non-zero value and it will not allow to execute the one more thread. So that is the drawback of a thread, correct? Now, how can I overcome the drawback of a thread?
With thread pool?
Yeah. So thread pool allows when whatever we discuss, right? Once you complete the thread object, the same thread object can execute given with some other task, correct? Now, what are the different thread pools are available in Java?
thread cache and
Thread
new
cache,
thread.
rule fixed, and single thread.
Yeah, single thread pool, cached thread pool, scheduled thread pool, and fixed thread pool. So there are 4 thread pools are available, right? So how can this thread pool, thread pool can be created?
By using
By
the
giving
executor
the
class.
fixed number.
No. Executor class is there, so from there we
Yeah.
can call.
Yeah, from there, yeah. That
Yeah.
class area.
So there is a class called executors in Java. This is predefined class. In this class, there are some methods, right? For each thread pool, you have a method to create, right? So this is how we create a thread pool, right? So this is what we have discussed till yesterday. So does anyone has any questions so far? Or shall we go to the executor service example, which is very important and
Karthik, so these 3 different methods we use based on.
your requirement.
Okay.
Yeah. So you don't need to use all this.
Yeah.
If you know that you want to fix the thread pools, you don't want to increase the threads, then use. So I'll tell one example. The same example, we'll change it and see how it behaves. Okay.
Sure. Thank
Yeah. And yesterday someone asking about the PayPal details, right? So have you got the details?
Sir, I'm there. They told me you join through this link, but Ashok sir was busy. So They told today they will do it, something like that. They told me. So because of that, they are not able to send me that invoice. They'll send me. So
Okay.
that's
Okay.
why I didn't see your recording and they didn't add me to the WhatsApp group. So yesterday I called even morning also. They told wait. So
Yeah,
today
admin was not available yesterday, so that's the reason
no.
I.
Actually, Ashok sir has to do it, or some manager. I don't know who is that. So still they're waiting for that only. So that's why they
Okay,
didn't
fine.
add me in the WhatsApp group. Yeah.
Just check with them. Like I spoke to them
Yeah,
today. I have informed it. So
yeah.
today
I'll
that I
check
mean there
today
is an
only.
emergency for them. One of the manager is there. He has some family
Yeah,
emergency.
yeah. They told like that. So today morning, again I'll approach them once more. I will remind, but they know that.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So just be in touch with them. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, sure.
Others, any questions or doubts, anything so far on the course content, timing, etc. Anyone? Okay. So if no question, let's continue. Okay. So now let's see one example of salary calculation. Multi-threading.
Because of that static, we are calling with the class name only, no? For executed
yes.
running. Yeah, okay.
Yes. See, wherever you go, all these concepts will be tied back to core Java concepts only. See, suddenly, I mean, system.out.println, it's the same static variable and then instance method, right? All the concepts will be tied back to core Java topic only. If you are good at core Java, it will be easy.
Yeah, sure. Got it.
Yeah. Multi-threading. So let's do multi-threading. So let's first I'll explain what I'm trying to do. So now, for example, let us take TCS is an organization which has around 6 lakhs employees, correct? Now, if I have to calculate the 6 lakh employees sequentially, so in the main method, if I write a program like this, for I equal to 0, I less than 6 lakhs, I plus plus. And here I'm writing for salary calculation, I'm writing a method called salary calculation for each employee, correct? Each employee salary calculation will be different. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now here in this for loop, I'm calling this salary calculation method. I'm passing the employee object. If I'm doing like this, so is it a sequential or parallel programming? This one, main method.
Sequence.
Sequential. So for example, if one employee salary calculation is taking 2 minutes of time, then 6 lakh employees will take
2 into 6, right?
12,
Whatever.
which is nothing but close to 12 lakhs. 12 lakhs minutes it will take. So is it is it a good approach to follow? No, you have to reduce the time, correct? Now, I cannot show you the example with the 6 lakhs, but I can tell you, I can take some 10 employees or 20 employees and I can show you. But instead, can I do with the thread programming? Yes, let us take T1 thread, T2 thread, T3 thread. 3 threads I will use using a thread pool concept. Okay. Now, what is the action I want to do for each thread? Say, where the thread flow of execution will start? Start will create a thread run method, correct? Now, in this example, for each employee, what is the action that you want to perform?
Calculate a salary of an employee.
Salary calculation of an employee, correct? Now, can I say that if I am using a thread in run method, what logic I should write? Salary calculation should go into a run method, right? So now you understand the reason I'm telling. So whichever the work you want to do it parallelly, that should go into a run method. That you need to decide based on the use case. Agree? But in this example, for each thread, I want to calculate a salary. So this salary calculation method is there as it is. So what I will do is I need to create a thread, correct? So I'm creating a class called some class implements runnable. Okay. And then I will overwrite run method. Inside run method, can I call salary calculation and pass the employee object? How I will do? I'll tell you. But if I am thinking that I create a class, implement runnable, and then override run method, and then inside the run method, call this salary employee, and then pass employee object, correct? So, and whenever you start a thread, these threads will call the run method only, correct? In this way, am I creating a parallel processing? Yes or no? Yeah. So now let's do it. Now first, for example, now instead of 6 lakh employees, now let me take 10 employees. Okay. 10 employees. So first I'll see in a real-time project, how do you get employee data? From the database, correct?
Yes.
But now here I'm hard coding it. I'm creating a new package called executors. And just creating a main class. Okay. Now first, so now first I need to have the employee, correct? Employee class I'm creating. Employee. Inside this employee will have int employee ID, correct? String emp name, double emp salary. This is what I need to calculate. So how do you calculate a salary? What is a simple fundamental?
Rate per hour times.
Yeah, it may be a per day how much you are getting, or per hour you are getting how much you are getting. If I say that double basic salary per day, correct? If I have a basic salary per day and in the month I'm working for 20 days, then 20 multiplied by per day basic salary will give you the simple salary calculation, correct? I mean, that's the simplest one, right? Now let's create a set getters for this. Source, generate getters and setters.
Karthik, but this is not a private, but still we need status getter.
Yes,
Mhm.
I will make it as a private.
Okay.
See, I don't want to access this using, I mean, I did not write it, but generally the good approach would be making it as a private.
Okay.
If you don't have a private, you can access without method also, but preferable is accessing through the method.
Okay.
I am creating a constructor using three fields. Okay. Now let's create. Now, generally in your project, what do? You get the data from your database, correct? Like the 6 lakh employees, what is the basic salary? What is his employee ID, name, and all, etc. You will create a query like this, right? Select star from employee. This is a query that you execute and you get the data, right? But here, that is not the objective for us, right? We want to learn multi-threading. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a employee data. So for that, what I'm doing, I'm creating a list object, or first employee equal to new employee. So first employee ID is 1, 2, 3. I'm putting my name as Karthik. Okay. And the basic salary is 10,000 something. Okay. Now, so let's create 9 to 10 employee objects. Now, can someone tell me your names, please?
Nita.
Okay, 1, 2, 4. Nita, 20,000. Any other names?
Neetu.
Okay. 1, 2, 5. Yeah, any other?
Prasad.
Guys, this is salary. This is not the salary I'm going to give anyways. Just for an example.
Prasad.
Yeah. Prasad. 15,000.
Yes.
Sorry?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Next. Some name, guys. Who are there? Manas, right? One more person is there. So I'm taking the people in the class. The reason is you will be visualizing better. Vaibhav. Okay. Shirish. Next. Punit. Next, let's put Ashok. Okay. So now can you say I have, so now instead of getting the data, I have hard coded the data. Now I have the simple employee information. So this employee information can be modified, right? I mean, simplified using your select query. Okay. Now I have the employees. Now multiple employees I have. So now let me add this data to a list object. Because individual employees you cannot do anything. So that's the reason I'm creating a list object emp list equal to new array list. And then those who doesn't know what is this list object, it's a I mean in the Java, so these are individual objects, right? In order to club the individual objects into together, we use list object. If you remember that I told you that array, right? Array will hold multiple objects into single place. Similarly, this list object is also comes under the collection framework, which is used to store the objects together. Now, how do you add the data to list object? Employee list dot add employee. So I'm just adding all the employee objects.
Karthik sir, can I ask one question here?
Yeah.
Generic type and when we are creating an instance like reference variable, what is the difference? Which one is more optimized and why?
You're saying about this one?
Generic type you're taking rather than instance creating. So how you'll differentiate it and how which one is more readable? Anyways, this one is more I can understand, but what is the difference? Which
If
we
you
are
don't have this one, what is the use, right?
No. I'm saying one you can take a class, employee, whatever class name is, employee, then EMP is equals to new employee class bracket. That
Yeah.
one and one is with angle bracket. So here you are taking generic type. So type is taking data element,
Uh,
whatever particular employee is there. But in new operator, we are creating an instance, it's not there, right? So
no,
uh,
this is a list object, but this is a normal class object, right?
but we can
Employee
create
is a class in Java.
but
So
we
for a
can
class,
create class also we can create a reference variable and from there
yeah,
also
that is the reference variable E1, E2, right?
Mhm.
So this is
But
a just
without
object
generic
creation.
type also you can create a list, right?
Yes, you can
So
like this
why we are
directly. You can push it here.
what is the
So,
difference then? Which one is more
no,
optimal?
here, for example, if you're creating this one, here, see this anonymous object creation. You have created a object of the employee ID is 123, employee name is Karthik, salary is 10,000. But are you referring it to any variable, reference variable, if you're creating like this?
Yes, maybe EMP or with a
No,
class employee.
no, you are not referring it. See here, you directly employee list. I mean, in the list object, you are adding the first employee object, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So have you referred it to anywhere?
No.
No, it is anonymous, correct? Now, after this line of code is executed, this object will be eligible for garbage collection. Or
Okay.
after this method is completed, this will be eligible for garbage collection. For
Okay.
example, now the same employee, later I want to have the employee object with 1, 2, 3, Karthik and 10,000. Then if I try this one, it will be creating a new employee object. But existing one, I want to use it. Can I use it with this way?
No.
No, that is the only thing. So for example, now, wherever, see, if I use E1, E like this. Now here I created an employee object here, correct? Employee E equal to new employee 1, 2, 3, Karthik 10,000. Now, later I want to perform some action on this object. I want to change the name to something else. Then can I easily change it? E dot set employee name to something else. Can I do? But if you are creating an anonymous object like this directly, can you do it? You cannot. So that is the advantage. And if you know that you are not using, then you go for that. But if you know that there is a possibility of changing an employee object, then you go for this. And the reason I have written is some of the students are belongs to doesn't know core Java basics, right? So if I create like this, it will be understandable for them. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So now I just created a data. So whenever you are executing a employee select query, you will get all this data. I just prepared the data now. Now what I see, this is the main class. Now I am saying that I want to use fixed thread pool. Fixed thread pool. So now the disadvantage of normal thread is we cannot reuse. But if I use a thread pool, I can reuse it. How can I create a thread pool? Executors dot new fixed thread pool, and then I should give 3, right? Now this new fixed thread pool is returning what reference? Executor service. Executor service. Now let's put executor service ex equal to. Now, so this is a line which will tell you that you are trying to use a fixed thread pool. And in your example, how many thread pools are fixed? 3. Done. Now, whenever you create a thread from this line, you will how to create a thread and all, I'll tell you later. But once you create a thread, where the thread execution starts? Where the thread execution starts? Run method. Now, in order to create in the run method, you need to call this salary calculation. So for that, what I need to do? Can I runnable is an interface. Can I create an object for that runnable? No. So then what I need to do? I need to create a class. I'm creating salary calculation is a class. So can I implement runnable here? Implements runnable. And then what I need to do? Whenever you are implementing runnable, override the run method. Inside the run method, I need to create public void salary calculation. I am creating a salary calculation method. And this salary calculation should take what does the parameter that salary calculation should take? How do you calculate a salary?
Employee.
Each employee will have a different salary, correct? So your salary calculation depends on your employee, correct? So this method should take employee object, employee E. Now you tell me what is the salary, double salary equal to. So in the employee, whenever I'm creating a data in the main class, what am I passing? What is the employee?
Employee ID.
I have the employee ID, I have the employee name, and third parameter is per day basic salary, correct? Right? Now, and what else? So one person may take 2 leaves, another person may take 3 leaves, another person may take 0 leaves. So we need to have one more parameter, correct? Number of working days. Agree? Yes or no? Each person will work differently, correct? See, some might take more leaves, some might take doesn't take leaves also. So number of working days. So let me add this to the constructor as well. int number of working days. This dot number of working days equal to number of working days. Now let me add this to data to the my here. So Karthik is working for 28 days, 26. I'm just adding the data 15, 23, 8, 7, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now in my data, I have the per day basic salary and number of days that person is working. Now what is the salary, guys? E dot get basic salary per day multiplied by E dot number of working days, correct? So let's take the number of working days variable also, correct? It's a private variable. So you need to create a setter getters. Source, generate setters and getters. Now get number of working days. Now can I say this is a simple salary calculation? If it is a complicated, then this method is only the change you have to do. But we are not concentrating more on how to calculate a salary, but we wanted to see in the fixed thread pool, we can reuse a thread. How that reusability can be achieved, that we are trying to see. So this, can I say that this is a simple calculation salary and I need to call this method from the run method? Agree?
Yeah.
Any questions so far, anyone? Does anyone has any questions so far? Anything do you want me to repeat?
Yeah, Karthik. First of all, we created a class of like employee, and then
Yes.
later after
Employee
that,
you are creating because whichever the calculation you want to do, right? That
Yeah.
you need a data in order to accept the
Yeah,
data, you
Pojo
need it,
class.
right? Yeah.
Pojo class. Okay. Then later, okay.
This is a
once
data preparation, correct?
Yeah, I got it. And you create a Pojo class for that one. Fine, got it. And now you wrote the line number 17, this one. After that, I could know. Could you explain that after this?
So here,
you,
so first
yeah.
I want to use a fixed thread pool. That means
Okay.
fixed thread pool means number of threads are 3 only I want to use. But I want to reuse the threads. That is my intention, correct?
Okay.
Because
Okay.
if it is a normal thread programming, you cannot reuse a thread. That's a drawback. So now
Yes.
here, 10 employees are there. 10 employees
Yeah.
will be calculated. Initially, ideally, if you want to do the parallel processing for 10 employees, you have to do 10 threads, correct? Because you
Yes.
cannot reuse a thread. But here,
Yes.
creating a thread is also not that easy, right? It takes operating system, etc. Right? What I'm doing is I want to create only 3 threads. But these 3 threads first will execute 3 employees. After 5 minutes, these will be free. Then it will take another 3 employees. That is what I wanted to show you guys.
Yes.
So in order to do that, first I need to create a fixed thread pool. I have done that, right?
Okay.
Done. Now, whenever, see here, once you create a thread, so how to create a thread using a thread pool, I will tell you. But once you create a thread, where does the thread flow execution starts?
Start.
Run method.
Yeah. Yes.
So that is the reason I created a class called salary calculation, implement runnable, override the run method, and I just created a salary calculation example.
Okay,
Sorry,
got it.
some method, simple method. Now with this method, I'm calling here, right? Any questions? Others? Okay. Now let's.
Why we are taking private only? You have setters and getters, right?
If you have a setters, if you have, I mean, private variable and then public method you're asking.
Yes.
So it's
Why
an
we are
encapsulation,
taking
right?
only private?
Variable should be private and method should be public. That is a encapsulation rule. So you can see it will provide you the data hiding capability.
Okay.
And get number of working days.
Number of working days is also private. You mean why we are using number of working days?
To get
Sorry,
the numbers, how many days?
Yeah, he worked that. See, for example, in a month, number of working days will be Saturday, Sunday. If you exclude 22 working days. Or some people might work on a weekend also, correct? Some people might take leaves. So for example, if you look at my data, here, Karthik has worked for 28 and Neeta has worked for 26 and Shreyas has worked for 8 days. That means he has taken the remaining leaves. So how do you get a salary? If you take a leave, if it is not I mean, in office, if you take a leave, will you get the salary? No, right? So that is what number of working days I have given. Okay.
And so that is getter setter methods we use in encapsulation to.
Yeah, encapsulation is nothing but and holding the data and variables together into a single unit. And encapsulation will provide the data hiding capability. So you will not expose, if you are creating it as a private, you will not expose the data, but you can expose the data using public methods only. So I have talked about that in the encapsulation. I mean,
Core Java related.
Yeah, core Java related.
And abstraction?
Abstraction also. We completed encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, and inheritance. So this is a thread, right? So I hope, as I mentioned, that will be a prerequisite for you guys.
For this class, the data member is should be private. That will be abstract.
No. Abstraction is nothing but hiding the logic. Encapsulation is nothing but hiding the data. Don't worry about this. Let's get into this one. So you will get that. If you are interested, you can listen to those videos. You will get that. Okay. Now, why am I getting a compilation error in line number 8?
I think you need a
parameter.
Yeah. So this salary calculation method is taking a parameter. Here I don't have a parameter. Now how can I pass? Can I pass to run method? Can I pass employee object? Here if I pass it, if I do it, I am getting a compilation error. Why? If I have like this, then I can pass it here, correct?
Oh, yes.
But here if I am writing like this, so what is the run method signature in the interface?
Runnable target.
Yeah, so no. So in the runnable interface, what is the abstract method you have? Run method. Does it take any argument?
No.
So that means what is the overriding principle? Whenever you are overriding, method name should not change and arguments also should not change, correct? Here, if I add an argument, it does not termed as a overriding, correct?
Yes.
So
Correct,
that means
correct.
I cannot add a parameter here. Now, I want to have an employee object. How can I get it? How I want to have an employee object. How can I get it?
We can create a run method employee object and then pass a
No.
considerable.
Can I take it through the constructor? Yes or no?
Yes,
So,
through construction.
can I create constructor here? In the constructor, can I create a employee of first I will create employee E equal to null. Can I see constructor using, you can have any parameterized constructor, correct? Can I accept the employee reference as a constructor parameter?
Yes.
Right. Now, whenever I am creating an object of this class, I need to pass an employee object, correct? And then on top of that employee object, your salary calculation method will be calculated, correct?
Correct.
Understood?
Karthik,
Does everyone understand?
could you please repeat that?
So here, so in this line number, I got a compilation error, right? Why did I get a compilation error? Because the salary calculation is taking an employee object. You need to pass the employee object. But if I pass it, so now I need an employee object. From where I can get it? So my employee objects are present in the main class, correct? All these objects. Now I need to pass this object to this run method. So can I add a parameter to the run method like employee?
No.
Can I add it?
No.
No. If you add it, you are defeating the purpose of overriding, correct? Now the only way is, can I have a constructor with multiple parameters? Neeta?
Yes.
We can have a constructor, correct? Now let's
Yes.
look at here. What I have done is I am creating a constructor. Okay. Now in this constructor, there may be a default constructor, there may be a parameterized constructor. Now what is the parameter I want? What is the object I want? Employee object, correct? Now I am creating a employee equal to null. And then I'm taking that employee object as a constructor parameter, and I'm setting into a employee. In the salary calculation constructor, I'm accepting the employee object, and that employee object, it's a global object, correct? And then I'm passing it to a salary calculation so that for that employee, the salary calculation will happen, right? So that means when this constructor salary calculation constructor will be invoked, whenever you create a object of this class. Agree?
Agree.
Yeah. So we will create an object in the main class. I'll tell you, I'll come to that later. Hope you understand.
Yeah, Karthik, this employee is nothing but it's not an object of the we created in our data. No, so
no,
like
this is a reference you are passing. This will be passed from here.
Okay.
Okay. Now, earlier in normal thread execution, which method is responsible to create an independent path of execution?
Start.
Sorry.
Start method.
Yeah. If it is a normal thread execution, start method is responsible to create an independent path of execution. Correct? Right? But when it comes to, so here, let's see. I don't have a thread object, correct? Now ex.start, do I have?
No.
No, I don't. I'm not using a thread. I'm using a thread pool concept, correct? If you have a thread object, then only you can call the start method. Agree? But whenever I'm creating a thread pool, do I have a thread object? No. Then how to create a thread? So in the executor service, there is a method called submit. Do you see executor service is an interface, correct? See, whenever you call executors.new fixed thread pool is a static method. You are calling that static method, and what it is returning? Executor service reference. Executor service is a interface. You are getting a reference of this interface. Now in this interface, there is a method called submit. This submit method is responsible. See here, you can look at this one. This submit method is responsible to create an independent path of execution. I repeat, this submit method is responsible to create an independent path of execution. See here, there are multiple methods. It's an overloaded method. Now, what this submit method is taking? Runnable what? Runnable reference, correct?
Yeah.
Or runnable object. See, is it similar to a thread class constructor which is taking a runnable, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Then how did you do that time? You created a class, implement a runnable interface, and create an object of child class and then pass it here, correct?
Yes.
Now, similarly, in my class, in my example, which is a class that is implementing runnable interface? Salary calculation. Now, can I create an object of this class and pass it? Correct?
Yes.
So, now here, new salary calculation, and it is taking an employee object. But here I have multiple employee objects, correct? So, that is the reason I will loop it. For I equal to 0, I less than emp list dot size I plus plus. Let me create an object. See here, why am I creating an object of salary calculation? See, executor service, inside the executor service, there is a method called submit. This submit method which takes a runnable reference. This is the method which is responsible to create a independent path of execution in the thread pool. Now this method is taking what object? Runnable object. Runnable is an interface in Java we cannot create. Then what is the best way to do is create a class, implement that runnable interface, and create an object of this class. So that is the reason I am creating a salary calculation S equal to new salary calculation. And then I need for salary calculation, whenever you're creating object, what you need to pass? Every time you need to pass an employee object, correct? Where is my employee object? It is present in this list, correct? emp list dot get of I. That means, so for when I equal to 0, when I equal to 0, what is the employee object? Karthik. When I equal to 1, Neeta. When I equal to 2, Neetu. Then Prasad, then Shreyas. All the employee objects, I am passing it to this one. And then now I created a object of runnable interface. I am passing that here. So now let's wait for some time. Let me draw it. How many employee objects I have? 10, correct? E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6, E7, E8, E9, E10. Okay. Now let me make it small little. Let me write the, I'm denoting these employee objects with a name. What is the first employee name? Karthik, Neeta, Neetu, Prasad, Shreyas, Manas, Vaibhav, Shirish, Puneet, Ashok. Puneet, Ashok. Okay. So these are all the employee objects I have. Now I have how many threads? T1, T2, T3. And what we may have a method, salary calculation, correct? Let's try it. Now let's, I am starting a debug. So just be with me, guys. So you can ask the questions at the end, but let's observe what I'm doing. So where is my main method? This one. So I'm doing a right click debug as Java application. Now first, all the employee objects I'm creating, these are data preparation only, correct? So how many threads are there currently? Please be interactive.
One.
Only one thread, correct? Main thread, right? Now, it is just a data preparation. I am adding the data to a list object, correct? Now here, in this line number 37, what am I doing?
You're creating a thread.
Declaring it.
Yeah, I'm declaring it. That means I'm telling Java compiler that, hey, I'm using a fixed thread pool. So do you think that this line will create a thread? Let's see. Does it created any threads? Line number 37, does it created any thread?
No.
It is just telling that how many how many number of threads you want to use it, or what kind of a thread pool you are using. It does not mean that it will not create a thread. Agree? Yeah. Let's go first. When I equal to 0, what is the employee object you have? See, employee list is nothing but it will hold all the employee objects. When I equal to 0, what is the employee object? What is the name? Karthik, correct? When I equal to 1, Neeta. When I equal to 2, Neetu. All the employee objects are available. Now I'm doing when I equal to 0. So what I have done? Salary calculation is equal to new salary calculation, employee list of get of I. Then which employee object I will get? Can someone tell me?
Karthik first.
Karthik employee object, correct? So look at here. So that means dynamically I'm passing different employee objects. Agree? Every time. See, Karthik is an object. Now I am calling, see, whenever you create this one, what happens? Constructor will be called, correct? It will come here. Let's put a breakpoint. See, what is the employee object here? Null. So what is the employee object that you passed? Karthik. So it will be assigned. Now, in this example, what is the employee now? Karthik employee, right? Now, the object is created, done. After that, what did I tell you? If it is a normal thread flow of execution, which method will create a thread? Start method, correct? But if it is a executor service, submit method is responsible to create a thread. Currently, how many executions are there?
One.
Only one. Let's take a screenshot of this one. Now you can see that this main is only one execution. Now I am doing, see, whenever, whether it's a thread pool concept or whether it is a normal thread concept, after the thread is created, thread is nothing but an independent path of execution. One more execution should create, and that execution should start from run method. Now, where is my run method? Here. Let's put a breakpoint. Now, let's click on F6. See, it went into a thread status. See, the same thing. Here, is it going into a start method internally? See,
Yes.
did I call the start method?
No.
No, but Java creators are what they are doing. In the executor service, they have a submit method. This submit method internally calling the start method. That means, can I say this is the one which will create an independent path of execution?
Yeah.
Let's execute F6. So now do you see one thread is created? Now here, let's take a snake ping tool. So earlier there is only one main method, correct? Now let's create new. Now if you look at in this example, so this is one thread, correct? And this is another independent path of execution. Agree?
Yes.
Does everyone visualize it? So now first, so what is the pool one, thread one? So that means in this pool, how many threads I can create? 3. So this thread is executing what? Look at here, run method it is executing, correct? Now let's go to the main method and then further execute it. Now what is the second time you are creating an object? Employee, what is the I value? I value will become 1. Employee list dot get of 1. What it will give you? Nita object, correct? Yeah. So that means every time you are passing an employee object to this constructor, right? Let's do F6. Now, how many threads you have declared? 3.
3.
How many threads has created as of now?
1.
1. Apart from the main method, I'm talking about the user defined threads. In this entire pool you said 3, but you have only 1. So do I have a place to create one more?
Yes.
Yes or no? Let's see. See, whenever I click on submit S again, see, do you see one more thread has created? Pool 1, thread 2. What it is doing? It is executing a run method on what employee? Nita employee, correct? First thread is working on Karthik, second thread is working on Nita, correct? Now, how many threads I have declared? 3. But how many I have created as of now? 2. Do I have a place to create one more?
Yes.
See, let's create
Yes.
ex.submit again. See, third thread will be created now. See, third thread is created, correct? Now, how many threads are there currently? 3. First thread is executing what? Salary calculation. I mean, it is in run method, but it is executing which employee? Karthik. Now, can I draw like this? Second thread is executing Nita. Third thread is executing Neetu. So can I say like this?
Yes.
See, all these threads are executing salary calculation method on these 3 objects. Agree?
Yes.
Everyone with me so far? Now the advantage here is, now let's go to the main method. Now what I was saying, if you are saying it is a new fixed thread pool, the number of threads are fixed. Currently, how many threads are there apart from the main method? 3. So do you have a chance to create more than 3?
No.
No, because I have initialized it. I've said JVM to create only 3. Let's see. See, I'm executing submit method. Is it creating? Does it created?
No.
So that means number of threads are fixed, means the JVM will create that number of threads only. After that, even if you are submitting, it won't create. Agree? So now then where this data is going? This data is going into a queue concept. That means this is nothing but a queue. All these employees are added to a queue. Let's add it and then I will tell you. So main method is completed, correct? Now, let's look at here. First thread is executing salary calculation of what employee? Karthik, correct? Yes or no? Now, if I click on F6, see, That means if I click on F6 now, can I say that salary calculation is thread 1 will be completed?
Yes.
So thread 1 will be completing the salary calculation of Karthik, correct? Okay. Yes or no? Now after that, what is the next employee I have? See, currently 3 threads are executing 3 employee objects. Now if I click F6 now, T1 thread will complete the salary calculation of Karthik because I'm at the last line of the code, correct? You see, run method, from run method I call the salary calculation. It is done, it will go here and then it will complete the execution. Once the execution is completed, can I say T1 is free?
Yes.
Yes.
Now earlier the problem was thread cannot reusable. But now, how can I show you that it is reusable? What is the next employee that is waiting? In this
E4.
queue, what is the next employee that is waiting in this queue?
T4.
E4.
E4.
E,
Sorry.
E3. E3.
E3.
Nothing
E3.
but Prasad, correct?
Yes.
Now, if I click on F8 and immediately if this thread is coming back to the run method, can I say it is reusable?
Yes.
Yes. Now let's do F8. See, the thread has come back to the run method. When the run method, it will come whenever the new execution starts. That means, can I say that did I create any new thread? No. Am I able to reuse the thread? Yes. Now here, what is the employee it is processing? Prasad. That means it has completed this execution, correct? And then T1 thread is executing Prasad now, correct? Now that means, am I reusing a thread or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Now let us take, you tell me which thread you want me to complete, I'll complete. Which thread?
T2.
T2, okay. Now T2 is executing what employee? Nita. Now let's go to the salary calculation. Now, if I click F6 now, can I say T2 will complete the salary calculation of employee Nita? Right?
Yes. Yes.
After that, it will become free. So once it becomes free, what is the next employee object it can take?
E4.
E4, which is nothing but Shreyas. Shreyas, correct? Let's see.
Yes.
So let's click F8. Is it taking Shreyas? That means, am I reusing the thread? Yes. Now let's
Yes.
take E3. So it is not in the sequential manner, guys. You can take T3 first, then T2 first, then anyways. Now let us take that these 2 threads are taking time. Now T3 is executing currently what employee? Neetu, correct? See Neetu. So let's click F6. Now if I click on F6, this will be completed. Now what is the next employee it can take? T3? Manas, correct? E5, right? Manas. Now again, so let us take that, don't, whenever you are debugging, control is in your hand. But if you run this program, will you be able to visualize all of this?
No.
So that is the best thing to understand the threads is by debugging. If you run the program, can I able to show you all of this? That this thread is working on this employee, and after this it will be completed and it is taking another employee. Can I execute? Can I show you guys?
Yes.
No. If I run the program.
No.
If I run the program, it just simply executes, correct? You don't get a debug window like this. You will get a debug window only when you debug it, correct? Now, what I will do is I don't go to other, because whenever I am debugging, control is in my hand, right? I can select a thread and I can execute it, right? Now here, currently T3 thread is executing Manas. Now let's click on F8. After Manas, what is the employee you have? Vaibhav, correct? Look at here. T3 is executing Vaibhav, correct? Now it has completed and it is executing Vaibhav. Now let us execute again T3 only. What it will go? It will look at Shirish, right? Again F8. See, it is taking Shirish, correct? So that means, am I reusing a thread now? Now let's go to T2. Now T2 is currently executing what thread? Prasad. Now let's click a F8. So in the queue, what is the next employee we have? Puneet, correct? Look at here. It is executing Puneet. Now let's execute this one. Puneet is completed. What else remaining? Ashok, correct? Let's see. F8 3, it is executing Ashok. Now let's click this. So now look at here. Now after this one, Puneet is also, Ashok is also completed. All the threads. Now let's execute. Now, if I execute T1 thread is executing what employee? Prasad. Let's execute F8. That means it is also completed. Now T3 thread is also completed. Now after completing all of this, see, look at here. The threads are still running. Why? Because it has completed the execution of all the threads, all the employee objects, correct? Then there is no more employee objects, so these are running only, correct? So maybe after some time, it will be dead, or user can kill it, or you can supply the more employee objects, then this will pick it up. That is the beauty of thread pool. This is called executor framework. This is called executor framework.
Sir, I have a question.
How can you?
Until lack records, lack employee, it will execute like this. 3
Yes.
and then 3.
No. Yes, I have mentioned 3, but if you have 1 lakh employees, you don't need to mention 3, right? You can mention 10, correct?
Okay. Okay.
On an average, see, 1 lakh records. If it is a sequential process, your for loop will execute for 1 lakh times. If you're creating a 10 threads, on an average, one thread can take 1,000 records, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, or 10,000 records. Each thread can execute 10,000 employees at it parallelly, right? All can execute parallelly.
Mm-hmm.
So now, whenever I'm showing you guys, can these threads are executing parallelly? So when thread 1 is taking employee 1, Karthik, thread 2 is working on Neeta, thread 3 is working on Neetu, correct? First, initially. That means, is it a parallel or sequential? Parallel, correct? So that means at a time, if you create 10 threads will work on 10 employee objects. That means in a single shot of time, for example, if the salary calculation method is taking 2 minutes of time, so then 10 threads can execute 10 employees. In 2 minutes, 10 employee salary is calculated. Agree?
Yes.
I repeat. So salary calculation is taking 2 minutes. T1 is executing E1 parallelly. At the same time, T2 is executing E2. So on, T10 is executing E10. So now in first 2 minutes, how many employees will be calculated?
10.
10 employees. If it is a sequential process, in first 2 minutes, how many employees will be calculated? If it is a sequential process, only 1 employee, correct? Because your salary calculation is for 1 employee, it is taking 2 minutes. When you say for I equal to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus, salary calculation. So when I equal to 0, you call this method. It takes 2 minutes. After that only, it will go to I equal to 1, correct? So that means if it is a sequential, in first 2 minutes, you can calculate the salary of only 1 employee. But if you are using 10 threads, in the same 2 minutes, all the 10 threads can execute parallelly, can execute the salary calculation of different employees. So in 2 minutes, you can process the 10 employee objects. Agree?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the beauty of multi-threading.
Sir, these 3 threads is working, so this is a parallel processing. Once 3 threads again for the next 3 employees and then next 3, so that is also parallel processing?
No, that is not parallel. See, once thread is completed, you are reusing it, correct? See,
Yeah.
so if you want to do entirely processing 1 lakh employees, you create 1 lakh threads, then in 2 minutes, entire 1 lakh salary calculation will happen, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What is the ideal way? So here you want to calculate the salary calculation for 1 lakh employees, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So then if you're creating 1 lakh threads, can all these threads execute parallelly? Yes. In 2 minutes, all the employee salary will be calculated, correct? This is a pure parallel processing, correct? But the problem with this is, can you create a 1 lakh threads?
No.
It is not
No.
that possible, correct? Your system should be like, you should have a supercomputer, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So creating the number of threads is also a problem. So that is the reason what we do is we fix the number of threads based on our operating system number of core processor or system configuration, the number of threads are fixed. So we generally create in production application, we create 10 threads or 5 threads, something like that. We cannot create more than 10. We can create, but it is creating a problem. Your system will become slow. See, it is as simple as that. In your computer, you have opened 100 windows. Will your computer will be slow?
Yes.
Why? It is consuming the RAM, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Same thing, if you create more number of, if your system configuration is less, so it can capable of handling 10 threads only. But if you're creating a 20 threads, will it allow? No, the system becomes slow, correct? So that is the reason you create 10 threads. Each 10 in first 2 minutes, for this 10 will execute 10 employees. After 2 minutes, after 2 or 3 minutes, this 10 threads will become free, correct? Now, if it is a normal way, I need to create a new thread object. But in the thread pool, what am I doing? I am not creating a new threads. I am reusing these threads and then submitting the new employees. So that is the parallel processing. Hope you get it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So any questions, guys? Now in the tomorrow class, what we do is, so here, as I mentioned that fixed thread pool means number of threads are fixed. That means even if I'm see this execute submit method is getting called in the for loop. This method will be called for 10 times, but 10 threads will be creating? No, only 3 is getting created, right? Now we will change this line to new cached thread pool in the tomorrow class and see how does the JVM will behave. Look at here. All the threads are waiting, still waiting for the new employees. See, it has 10 employees, 3 threads has completed their employees. And if you call these employees again, if you pass these employee objects again, this will start working again. So that's the beauty of executor framework.
While debugging, how you are switching between one thread to another, for example?
Just click it, whichever you want, you click that thread.
Okay.
So here, see here in this one, in this my cursor you are seeing, right? Here you are getting pool 1, thread 1, pool 2, thread 2, pool 3, sorry, pool 1, thread 3, correct? Now, whichever you want, you select that and then execute it.
So you are clicking to see the employee name ID.
Yes, yes.
You are hovering the cursor, okay.
Yes, yes. So if you want to see, then you hover the cursor or select the variable and Control Shift I. Control Shift I. Let me debug it again and show you. See here, I want to see what is the value of employee list.get of I equal to 0, correct? Just hover the cursor. But now this, if I hover the cursor, I am getting 0 only. I mean I value. But I want this what is employee. Then what you can do is, either way, you can go to this, hover the cursor on the employee list. See, the 0 means this one. You click on this, you can see Karthik. Or the other way is, shortcut is select this value and then do Control Shift I. See, it will give you all the parameters in that object, all the variables values in that object, right? Or
after debugging, you use F8 and F6, right?
Yes, correct. I have explained in the core Java classes when to go for F8, when to go for F6, and there is something called F5 also.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, if I see, I Control Shift I, that is using keyboard. If you are comfortable, not comfortable with keyboard, then right click. There is something called inspect. Do you see? See, Control Shift I. If you do inspect, then it will give you that object details. Okay. These are simple techniques. You will get it when with experience. Okay. So if no question, then in the tomorrow class, we are going to see.
I think I have one question, because even we are looking about the same method like start method. In the start method, we have a logic like that. Check the condition, like whether it is a, you show me the illegal argument, something.
Yeah.
In the start method. So because of when you're looking for the second time, it is not going for that line. So that because of that, it is.
No, I removed it.
Okay.
Here
Acha.
I kept a breakpoint. I removed that breakpoint because
Okay.
we know this start method, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what I wanted to say is, even if you call the submit method, it is going internally, redirecting it to start method only, correct?
Yes.
That means
Yes. Correct.
inside the submit method, Java creators have written a logic. That's it, to redirect it to there. It's a reusable
Okay.
code. I just
Okay.
removed the breakpoint. That's the reason you are not able to see. But what
Okay.
can you guys write this program, simple program on your own today?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Just try this. And in the tomorrow class, if you come up with your project where, so now the question is, in the interview, they might be asking, what is the place where you have done the multi-threading in your project? Now you come up with your what is project use case. I can tell you, this is a skeleton. Now you can replace this skeleton with your project also, simple. So that I will talk about that in the tomorrow upcoming classes. So I request you guys to come up with the use case of your project, because I don't know, you guys might be working in different companies and different projects, right? I do not know the what project functionality, etc. Right? I'll take some examples and you guys come up with some practical implementation of your project. Then I can tell you where is the usability. Okay. So I think some of new joinees have joined today. Guys, if you are interested, you can do the enrollment. And today is the last demo. From tomorrow, the link is going to be changed.
Yes, sir. If payment hasn't been done, so just wait. I'll just talk to
Yeah,
them.
yeah. I already let them. I told them that about this issue. They asked, you have dropped an email to
Yeah.
ashokitschool@gmail.com,
Mail
right?
also, and then messages, WhatsApp numbers are there, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'll respond it today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So if no question, then that's all for today, guys. Thank you all. Thanks for joining. Have a nice day.